Hello friends, it's Karen Cornell, your Creative Memories Advisor, and it's time for another project recipe. And I am excited because this one I'm actually going to put it right in my album, and it's going to be one of the last layouts of my 2022 album, and I'm so excited to get another album done. It's gonna be great. So we're doing project recipe number 49, and I did switch it up a little bit, so let's talk about that. So in this project recipe, they use these hearts from the gemstone custom cutting system. And I kind of put off doing this project recipe because I really didn't want to, I'm not a huge heart person. There are some border punches and border maker cartridges that I do like, but I'm just not a huge, like, let's throw hearts on a scrapbook page. So I was kind of like putting this one off, putting it off. And then I came to the pictures that I needed for this, that I decided on for this layout. And I was like, wait a minute. If I don't do these in hearts, I could just do them in squares and it'll work. So that's how we kind of revamped it, or I revamped it, not we. And I loved this one because of the technique of layering borders. And I actually used the woven scallop border maker cartridge that looks like this. And in this one, you will need a border maker cartridge that attaches, so make sure the metal goes all the way up to one side. That the way you know that it attaches is that you have to use your trimmer to cut the border off when it's done. So make sure, and you can tell that ahead of time by seeing that the metal goes all the way through to the other side. And over here, it's open. So one side's open and the other side is metal. And the thing I loved about this is we layered it. And I just thought that it's just really, really cool. But it's just really cool. And this is a technique that I think you could use with lots of different layouts. So this is the layout. We are doing project recipe number 49. You don't need the directions. I walk you through everything. And I even tell you how to make the hearts if you wanted to make the hearts. And I'm gonna put a title up here, and my title's so cute. I decided on Little Skaters, Big Smiles. So I'm gonna add that still, and I need to journal. But other than that, it's a close to finished layout, another one in the books. So let's get started. Okay, so here we go. You'll need your trimmer. You'll need a border maker cartridge, and you will need one that stays attached. This one does some layering, a layering technique with the borders, and you need to have one that attaches. And the way you can tell is if it attaches is if there is the metal part that connects to one side of the border maker cartridge. And you will need a border maker cartridge, not a border punch. So you will also need the border maker system. So make sure you have that as well. And you're going to need 5 pieces of paper cardstock combination. So in this layout in the recipe, they show us that the background papers are 2 different designer papers. I went ahead and did the same because I am using this, and I am not going to use this. This isn't my life right now. We don't really go skiing or anything, but I do like this snow paper as a background. So I'm going to have that as my background paper. And then I have 3 pieces of paper. You will want to make sure that number 1 designer paper is not directional because it's going to go horizontal and vertical. So just pay close attention to that. And I think that's about everything. I'm also not going to be doing hearts. I'm going to just make these squares. And because my layout is going to be a ice skating layout, I did not want to do hearts. So I'm going to try it with the squares and see if I can maybe do a corner rounder or something and see if that will make it work, and just kind of layer it kind of fun like that. So let's get started. Remember, if you don't have the book, don't stress. I will help you all along the way. There is a fun little technique that we're going to do with these, with the border punch. And there'll be lots of different ways of cutting it and using the border punch. So pay close attention, because it is a fun way to layer a border and make it easier to cut. So when you're, you know, using the border multiple ways. So let's get started. We're going to cut at 4 inches straight down. And then we're going to cut at 3.5. And then we're going to keep this final piece like this, because we're going to do this differently. And I'm going to lay these on top of each other so I don't get them confused. And we're going to go ahead and do the border punch. So not border punch, border maker punchage, sorry. So go ahead and get it out. I'm really kind of excited. Since I'm doing ice skating, I did decide to use the woven scallop, because I felt like that was like little circles you make in the ice when you ice skate. You know, if you're kind of moving around, I thought it kind of looked like the cutting in the ice from your ice skates. So that's why I selected it. So the first one for this is piece A. We're going to cut on the long edge. So we're going to cut all the way down on this. So put that in like this. Oops, it slipped. There we go. And then we're going to punch. See how this stays attached? It does not create a separate border. So that's how it works like that. So this is all done. Then you're going to have this one, and you're going to do it on these short sides. So the way we do that is we put it in and we still push it flush up against the top so that we make sure we're cutting it evenly. And see how that looks like that? And you're going to do it on both sides. So go ahead and do that again. This is why I stacked them, so I wouldn't, since all the cuts are different, I didn't want to get confused. Which I can easily get confused. We know that, don't we? Okay, so this one, we're going to cut it on this side, and we're going to cut it on this side first. And then you're going to take it and just flip it around. So this is where it gets kind of fun and makes it a little bit easier for yourself. So then you're going to get your trimmer, because your goal is to have all these little 1-inch strips, right? But it gets, as your paper gets smaller, it's harder to cut the 1-inch strips, and you end up having to get like Post-it notes and stuff like that. So, but let's talk about this. So this is approximately a little over 4 inches. So I am, because here's 4 inches. No, it's exactly 4 inches. So we're going to cut it, it's approximately, because, you know. So I'm going to line it up at the 2-inch mark. And then I'm just making sure the top of the arch is at the line all the way down. And then I'm going to cut there. And then now, I'm going to punch these. And so this is where you have to use the Post-it note trick. And the Post-it note trick is super fun because you take Post-it notes and you just attach it to your paper, and it just helps have something a little bit bigger piece to hold it. And so you just put it down, and I use this technique all the time. And then we just punch this. And then you can reuse these. It doesn't take the pigment off of the paper at all. And then we just attach these here. See how this one, I cut a little bit of it? It's okay. No big deal. And I put this in here. I think this is a technique that if you want to layer one of these type borders that stays attached, this makes it easier than cutting tiny little strips, you know, that are 1-inch strips. I mean, you still have to use the Post-it note technique, but you're still gripping more. Now, just think about this. If you cut a 2-inch piece of paper and you punched it on either side and did a border sticker down the middle, look at that cool border. Isn't that cool? So now we are done with the border maker system. So we're going to clean up our little mess. And then get this all out of here. And then now we're going to get our trimmer back out, and we're going to cut these strips in half. So now we're going to put this in the center between the 1-inch mark on our trimmer. And if you would like to take a Post-it note to kind of stick it to make it a little bit easier so it doesn't move so much, you are more than happy to do that. So it's slightly, because of my border maker cartridge, it's slightly inside the 1-inch mark on both sides. And it doesn't have to be perfect because you're layering, so you're going to be able to adjust it. And I'm just checking all the way up. Then we're going to cut this in half. But see how this makes it a little bit easier to get these small strips? Sorry, I'm trying to really make sure it's straight, so. There we go. Cut that in half. Now we're going to cut some of these down a little bit. So 2 of them are going to stay the same, so we'll keep those 2 the same. And then we're going to cut this one's going to be 6 inches. I'll turn it this way. And then this is going to be at 3.5 and 3.5, because that's going to go at the bottom of that one strip. So 3.5. 3.5. So we are done with all of the first paper. So that took a little bit of time, but it was so doable. We can do hard things, y'all. So we're done with the Post-it notes. Now the next cuts will be easy because they're all like 4 or 6. So if we could do that first paper, we are set for the rest. So now we're going to cut a lot of mats. So this is going to be 4 inches straight down. And this is going to be 4 inches straight down. So the first one is going to be cut at 6 inches. The next one is going to be all stay the same. And then this last one, I'm going to cut in 3 4x4 squares. So this you would use and make 2 hearts if you wanted to. And you can use it, you're going to use the heart custom cutting system. And it's part of the heart gemstone pattern, and you're going to use the red blade. And make sure you use the same on both sides so that you can fit, because you want to layer them so they want to be the same. But I'm going to do squares just because it's not going to go with my plan. And then the last piece we're going to do is the final mats. And I want to think about this because these are going to be vertical mats. And so I want it like this. So I need to turn my paper like this. Yes, okay. Because I have directional paper, so I want to pay attention to how I wanted that. So I'm cutting at 6, and then I'm going to cut it at 4. And then another 4. And then this is going to be at 4. So I have 2 inches left over that I don't need. And then you have all of this left over for another collection. So I am using the Polar Lights collection. I don't know if I mentioned that, from a couple years ago. And it just is so cute because it has that teal and that aqua in it. And you know, I have 2 girls and that's like their colors, so it goes great with what they wear. And we don't get snow very much in Georgia, but I'm using this for ice skating because we did go to the indoor ice skating rink, so that was nice. Okay, now let's assemble. So we've got our A is going to go like that. And then our B, I need to figure out a better way to do this because I keep moving stuff and it gets in my way. Okay. So we're going to have this underneath it. And this on top. That's pretty. Okay. Then we're going to have, this is where our layering comes in. So we're going to have it like right like that. And you could flip them if you wanted. You could do that. I'm going to try it this way first and see. Looks cool. And then we're going to have, this is going to be up here. And then this right here. And then they use a border sticker that goes across the bottom, which I can totally do. Then let's see, we've got, these are going to go here. And here, and then this is going to go underneath here. Well, that's cool. And then this is going to go here and here. Yeah, this, don't you love it when a layout actually is looking better than you expected? I'm like, woohoo, it's looking good. Okay, and then this is gonna go over here. And then this is gonna go here. I guess this could go, oh wait, this goes here, sorry. I was like, something's not right. And then this could go here with the opposite, or it could, and then this could go here. Don't know if I want them at a tilt, but we shall see. I guess it depends on my photos. But I think it's gonna look cool. Okay, and then I have lots and lots of border stickers because if you remember this collection, it had the shades of Polar Light. So I have these border stickers. Hold on. Where are they? These, which will not work for what I'm doing for ice skating. But then we had these great polar light shades of Polar Lights, so that these came with those as well. So I'm going to look at one of these and figure out what I like for it. I'm thinking maybe this small little zigzag because it gets this lighter blue in there and the navy. I think that would look really cool. I don't want anything this big because it kind of too much into that. It just looks too similar. I don't really want words. I could do this, which may look cool because of the white in there to make it pop, but I think it might be a little bit too big, but we'll see, because I want to have enough room here. So let's get started. Time to assemble. I'm really excited to do this layout because I'm very close to finishing. I don't know why that's not working. Finishing my 2022 Christmas album. And yes, I do an entire album for Christmas. It starts in November, but because we just do so much because my kids are young. So it's basically like another 2022 album. I'm trying a new technique of printing pictures for my 2020 album, and I'll let you know if it works. I'm really doing some major planning when it comes to it, instead of just printing it, like looking at the pictures on my computer and just printing them, which is how I've done it in the past. And what happens when I do that is I end up printing way too many pictures. way too many pictures, and then it's very overwhelming when I'm trying to, you know, go through the pictures and actually do a layout, because I'm just like, you know, when I'm trying to do, you know, a 2 or 4 page spread and I've got like 50 pictures, it's just too much. So I'm trying a new technique, and I will keep you updated on that. It's hard when you're a scrapbooker because you're tactile and you want, you know, you're hands-on. You know, probably most of us are all hands-on learners. So we like to have things, we want to touch and feel and look at it. And so that makes it really hard to print pictures when you're that type of person, because you're going to end up printing a lot of photos, unfortunately. And this is going to overlap a little bit. Oh, so because mine is, yeah, that's why. I kind of guessed right on, because I'm doing this square, I'm not going to attach that just yet. But because mine is bigger, because it's 4x4 and not the heart, it's taking up more space. So it'll be okay. I will make it work. Oh, keep grabbing the wrong paper in there. You definitely want to have this pointing down so that you can do the layering at the top and then allow for you to put that border sticker on there. Every time I use this tape runner, I'm like, I just love that Creative Memories came out with this. And I'm putting this just right below the top. But this layering of the borders is definitely a technique I would use again. Most definitely. It really does add some definition and some depth to your layout without adding foam stickers, foam squares and stuff. So, very cool. And then I'm thinking, this. Yeah, I think I definitely, yes. Don't overthink. You guys tell me that all the time, and you're teaching me to not overthink. And if you do get nervous about putting border stickers down, feel free to use the anti-stick powder, and that will help you not be so nervous putting it down and getting it in a straight line. I hope my head's not in the way. I'm trying to look down here and not look. Okay. Then move this over. Does anybody else feel like you need a lot more space? I just need an infinite table that I can just spread out. I'm going to leave a little bit of a room there so I can possibly put a title there. To be determined later. And then this goes here. I'm gonna actually scoot this over a little bit. Hopefully I can. Navy's always, you know, finicky because it usually takes the pigment off if I move it. It was kind this time. I'm gonna take this, get this on here real quick. I know this is kind of off the film, but I'm trying to get that on there. Okay, and then we're gonna put this down here. And we're just trying to work within the square. I try to make sure it's all equal distance. I'm eyeballing it. I've done, you know, we've all done this long enough. We can eyeball it. It doesn't have to be measured. I'm just going to tuck this underneath. I wish I remembered to do this more often. Like just adding a small little border, you know, a 6-inch border underneath your 4x6 mat. Oh my gosh, super cute. I need to tuck that away and do that more often. Because on a simple layout, you know, I'm thinking like Fast to Fabulous pages, and you're adding mats. Oh my gosh, so simple. Okay, I'm just gonna put a little bit there to see. Yeah, okay, this is cute. So then we have lots of photo opportunities. So we've got this here. And then I am going to be doing some, since this is ice skating, I'm probably going to do some different, not the polar lights that much because it doesn't really go with what we're doing. So we've got a 3x5 here, and a 3x5 here, and then I could do a 3x5 in it if I wanted to, but I think I've already looked at my photos and I think I'm going to have to do a 4x4. And so when I do, I'm going to layer it kind of like they did with their hearts. Is this went over it like this a little bit. I'm going to do that. Here I'm going to do the same kind of thing. and layer it a little bit. Then we're gonna have lots of just trimmed photos. It's so easy to get a 5.5 by 3.5 photo now from my 4x6s. And I do print in the traditional 4x6 because I was finding it was very frustrating to print it in the digital style because I couldn't, my mats weren't working well if I had like pre-mats and stuff. So this is the layout. I will show you my finished layout at the end of this video. And I think I'll have pictures on it as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you have a fabulous day. Happy scrapping!